Right, if you just joined us, this is still Enterprise Friday, reaching you from Enterprise Television. Now, let's move to our main conversation for today. As the race to pick a new governor for Edo State heads for D-Day, political parties fielding candidates for the September 21, 2024 governorship election have signed a peace accord.
Though the People's Democratic Party (PDP) and its candidates for the election, Asue Igadolo, did not sign, other parties included the All Progressive Congress (APC) and its candidate Monday Okwebulo signed the peace accord, as did the Labour Party and its candidate Olumide Akpata signed as well.
Very true. And of course, all the parties we have that signed such what is that? Accord Party, Accord Alliance, African Action Congress, African Democratic Congress, Action Democratic Party signed the Peace Pact as well. Others include the All Progressive Congress APC, the All Progressive Grand Alliance ABGA, and the Allied People's Movement, Action People's Party, Labour Party, National Rescue Movement, People's Redemption Party, the Social Democratic Party, the Youth Party, the Young Progressive Party YPP, among others.
And quite a long list of them, but former head of state, General Abdulsalami Abubakar, noted that the ruling party in the state, the PDP, had given certain unmet conditions that made it not to sign the accord. But the chairman of the PDP in the state, Tony Aziegbemi, who was present at the venue, even if he did not explain why the party refused to sign the accord.
Very true. And earlier on Wednesday, Obaseki accused the security operatives of favoring the APC, saying that the police had obtained warrants and arrested members of the PDP, essentially driving the leaders of the party into hiding. But how far a pact would go is the question. And to discuss this and more, we have virtually joining us the barrister Babayemi Olaniyan, lead partner Lehi Attorneys, and also he is an election observer at all levels. Good morning to you, barrister.
Good morning, barrister.
Good morning to her.
Thank you so very much. We appreciate your time once more. And in the studios with us, we have Barrister Vance Ofeli, a barrister, law and public affairs. Coming to the good morning to you, barrister.
Good morning.
Thank you so very much for your time also. So let's get into the crux of the matter here, Baba Yemi. It's no longer news that the election for Edo is going to be unfolding for the 21st of September this month. But of course, it comes with lots of fracas here and there. Please, I would love you to maybe, if possible, bring us up to speed on what you think of the newest development happening in Edo State.
Thank you very much for having me this morning. So, with elections come different dramas, right? And the latest of which is the insistence of People's Democratic Party to not sign. Kindly let me know if you can hear me clearly. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you very well.
Okay. And top of which is PDP not signing.
Please, if you may, can you project a little more? We can, if you may.
Okay.
Yeah, beautiful.
Okay. Top of which is PDP refusing to sign the peace accord, or staying away from signing the peace accord, and it begs the question of what is a peace accord. I think that's where we need to start from. What is a peace accord, right? What is the origin of a peace accord? What is the legal basis of having a peace accord, right? Once we have this background, then we'll know whether and what is the impact of that peace accord. What is the impact of that peace accord? The several peace accords that have been signed before now, right? Has it had any impact? Has it had any influence on peace in elections so far? So it's interesting to see whether signing or not signing has any impact to say on the elections. But it's interesting. I mean, the issue right now is a party staying away from signing that peace accord, and it's not. I would say that the peace accord, yes, it's a good idea. It's almost like an international treaty. Yes, there should be peace. But then the question is, even if I sign it and I go ahead to perpetrate mayhem, right? What is the impact, or what is the effect, right? Or what is repercussion of going against the peace accord, right? Who have been held responsible for failure to adhere to the peace accord? Eventually, we're not going to come back to the fact that how do you trace the violence that emanated from the elections to so and so party? So the whole dynamics of a peace accord is a very interesting one, and I can't just wait for us to have a serious discourse on the issue.
Yeah, so because the reason this is so very important is you are an election observer yourself, so you understand the terrain more than so many. And the peace accord, just like you said, it's do you think really it's a waste of the time of those who have been made to arrange that? Because just like you said, if we could have a peace accord and still there is mayhem, so does that mean it's just a waste of people's time?
Like having a law, we're not having the proper modalities to ensure enforcement, right? So I can say don't come out in the morning by 7 a.m., right? But if you come out in the morning by 7 a.m., right, what is the repercussion for coming out in the morning by 7 a.m.? So the peace accord on paper, to my mind, is a very good initiative, very well intentioned, very well executed, right? But then when it comes to implementation, what is the effect where violence still continues? You would agree with me that if we go back to the history line, people have signed peace accords year after year, year in, year out, and yet we still have election violence. Then the question is, why do we so it's more like a system that is not working, or because we want to have something on paper that says that people should sign peace accord, so let them come and sign the peace accord. So until we have a cause and effect system, right, that says that if you are signing this peace accord and eventually we find out that you still went ahead to cause mayhem, this is the effect on it. But if there is no effect, if there is no repercussion, if people do not have what they can hold on to and say this is because you caused mayhem, so you lose so and so, or there is so and so sanction, then to me the peace accord plays no role or has no effect. It is just a document on paper.
Okay, thank you
very much.
Okay, over to you, Barrister Evan Sufili. Now, if we go by, let's just hold on to the 2023 elections that happened in February last year, and looking at what is currently happening in Edo State. Now, are we going to say the peace accord part plays a role in our Nigeria electoral room? And looking at what is happening in Edo State, with the report from the APC saying they've been attacked even on grounds where they're doing campaigns, they had 1,001 reason not to sign the peace accord.
The PDP.
But the PDP now did not sign, even though they've not been attacked by the report. Now, what do you think is playing out here?
Well, to start with, the peace accord have no probative value. It doesn't have a probative value because it is not a law. It is more like a convention or an agreement. Now, we have plethora of electoral offenses, which ordinarily should have been enforced when there is violence during election or after or before, okay? Now, even before the election, we already have violence. I mean, Edo.
Yes.
PDP attacking, APC attacking this and all that. So the violence is already ongoing. Now, this peace accord was just created by the Nigerian society or the leaders, just like a reminder to the politicians that they need to comport themselves. As much as the intention is good, it ought to have been made a law by now, so that you cannot add it to the electoral offenses we have and other subsidiary legislations, so that you now have probative value and consequences for non-compliance will be spelled out. You understand? Like our virtual guest said, if I violate that peace accord, what are the consequences? You see, in law, any offense or act or omission that is not stated as an offense in a written law and the penalty to that spelled out thereof, you cannot classify it as an offense. So, peace, Fagbemi is the locus classicus to that. So in this peace accord we're talking about, what value does it have? Does it have the propensity to store violence? We saw in Kogi State when after they signed the peace accord, the next week, the election commenced, and a woman leader from one of the political party was locked in her house and set ablaze. They committed arson, they committed murder, they committed mass attack.
In fact, the INEC chairman was nearly killed.
Yes.
In his house. Yeah.
Criminally injured and all that. Nothing came out from it. You see the worst part of it? Even during the election petition, the peace accord is not even part of the document from the front load. And we are supposed to say sometimes during election petition that there was violence in a particular area of local government. And because what you are proving during election petition, you are proving two things. One, that there was no substantial compliance with the Electoral Act. Two, that the substantial non-compliance with the Electoral Act affected the outcome. Those are the things you are proving. Most times you prove violence. You are saying there was violence, or they didn't allow people to vote, or there was, people were disenfranchised, okay, and all that. And politicians, where they are weak, they create violence in those areas and to ensure that. So at the end of the day, even your so-called peace accord, the court is not able to hold it against the adverse party. Much so because it has no probative value. So what are we doing with this peace accord? Why are we not emphasizing on already laid down laws contained in the Electoral Act, where in the Electoral Act have spelled out penalty for non-compliance, where there's criminality during an offense or during elections? Why do you take a separate document that is not an act of National Assembly and you are giving it heavy weather? Why don't you call the parties involved in the election and read out all the section that talked about electoral offense? Or why don't you have what you call political education on those areas with the community and the contestants? Do that for 1 week. Let them see just like in the 2019 election. A man came out and granted interview to the press. He was so angry, and the press was like, "What is wrong?" He said he's not happy because when he came to vote, they told him that they were going to give him 10,000 naira, and after voting they gave him 5,000 naira. He delivered. He granted an interview. This is a criminal. Supposed to be, if the Electoral Act, was to be effective, he committed an offense by collecting gratification to vote, and the penalty is there in the law. He didn't know. The journalists that were asking the question perhaps didn't know. Nobody knew, but you have those laws. So why don't we go and, talk about those laws as against signing a peace accord that have no consequence?
Very true. Babayemi, let's take a look at this. As much as we read out the Electoral Act and, of course, let stakeholders understand what they need to do and what they need not to do, how do we balance this situation where it seems like the security architecture seem to be tilted towards the political party, as in the case of Edo State, as alleged by Obaseki himself, that the Nigerian police force is working for the APC. So how much of the peace accord, of course, we've all said it doesn't work as much as we want it to work, but let's take a look at the Electoral Act itself. How much do you think that will sink into the stakeholders, knowing that the forces of the nation is tilted towards the political opposition?
Thank you very much. To answer the question, right, we would need to, or for us to have a proper understanding, or for us to actually have independence and impartiality, we would need to change the entire structure of the appointment process for the Inspector General of Police. Now, a situation where, and it permeates through every area, right? A situation where the ruling party, right, controls or is in charge of the process that will lead to the appointment, retention, and all that of the security apparatus, right? It's a pure system of he who pays the piper takes the tune, right? No matter how much we try to color it, right, we would still fall into that same trap. So until we are able to take away and give the police a certain form of full independence, right, that their total allegiance is to the people of the Federal Republic of Nigeria alone, right, then we might just keep dancing around in circles. Now, I can assure you that if it was PDP that was the ruling party at the national level, right, you'll be surprised that it is APC, the governor of APC, assuming the governor of APC, that will now be saying that the police are tilted towards the side of PDP. It's politics, right? Politicians will just be politicians, right? So where they see that a system is not totally favoring them, right, or they believe that someone else has better control than them, then the narrative is always the same. That this person is tilted towards one party, and we have plethora of situations where when a party wins an election, they say that INEC and the police did fantastically well. When they lose that same election, they say that INEC and the police were biased.
But when you look at what's happening currently in Edo State, does it look like it's politics that's being played, or really the Nigerian police force in collusion with INEC possibly working for the ruling party?
From what I've seen so far, I haven't seen anything that's out of the ordinary, right? I haven't seen anything out of the ordinary for me to cast aspersions on the Nigerian police force or INEC to say that they are tilted towards one party. It's just a matter of I do not feel like I have control over these people. So what is my best option? My best option is to say that they are not independent, or they are not impartial. Right? So and it's also psychology, right? So it's more like me playing a card and saying, okay, let me put this card and see how they react. Maybe it will caution them a bit. So,
but Baba Yemi, there have been arrests. PDP have said that some of their members have been arrested. So we're not talking about fiction here. We're talking about reality.
Yes, arrested for what? Are we saying that the Nigerian police force, the primary function of the Nigerian police force is to maintain peace and order? So if the Nigerian police force have arrested people that have committed crimes, right, then they have the right to arrest them, right? So except if PDP has concrete evidence or has concrete facts to state that these arrests were illegal or these arrests did not follow the due and accurate procedure, then that's when we can say that they are impartial. But in a situation where there is no clear cut, there is nothing apart from the fact that they are arrested, what they arrest them for. So and those are the questions that we need to probe. Why were they arrested? What were they doing that caused their arrest? What is the police doing? Is the police investigating the arrest, or are they just being detained? Are they being detained beyond the constitutionally stipulated time? So those are the questions that we need to ask.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Thank you. Okay, Barrister Evans Sefili, now over to you. Now, there is the Chief Security Officer of the state have been attacked, and we are heading towards the 21st of September. Now, with the current violence that's playing out in Edo State, will the people trust the security operatives with their life to come out to want to vote? Because in the end, the goal is for people to come out and they should actually get to vote. Do you think the people of Edo State at this point will be able to come out, be bold enough to say, okay, this is who we want to lead us, and we are ready to die on the battlefield?
There is general voter apathy in the country. You know, before now, we used to have turnout. As at 1999, we have a turnout of about 80%. In the last election, we had a turnout of 26%. So you see that there's a decline, a steady decline. Even in 2019, the turnout was more than 2023. 2015 was more than 2019. So you see that there's a steady decline. That's generally now because of tension. Okay. We saw what happened in Lagos State in the 2023 election. You know, how that politicians will use people to disenfranchise others, especially in places where they have weak points. Okay, they will send people to go and create all those problems. Now in Edo State, what is going on now is already a testament. The parties are already worried. That's even when the ballot boxes have not been presented before the people and the ballot papers have not been presented. So politicians will use, definitely. Those ones signing, you see, there's no difference between APC that signed peace accord, the PDP that did not sign. I'm just telling you, there's no difference. Because once they sign that thing, the more after they sign it, they go back to their situation room and begin to scheme, to plan violence, how to outsmart the other party, how to. Was it Error the last word that said that politics is the allocation of value? No, he said that politics is who get what, when, and how. That's the kind of politics we play in Nigeria. It does not matter the process, it's just who get what, when, and how. More like, you know, the Hobbesian state of man, where everything is about might. Like it is during election that politicians unleash their animalistic propensity, where they push down all the values of democracy. And then their focus is how to, even the current president told us what election should be. That is about grabbing it, taking it, and run away with it.
But that's not the norm. That's not how it is.
No, that's not the law. Even Obasanjo told us that the politics of 2020, was it 2020? What year was that? 2007 was a do or die affair. Okay? So we've had this thing all around. And now you wonder, you ask yourself, these politicians, they know that this is the process, but they have failed to keep that process clean. You know, it was Lord Denning that said that you must keep the stream of justice clean at all times. This should apply to politicians. They must keep the electoral process clean at all times. It is the lack of keeping that electoral process clean at all times. That is why at the end of the day, we'll go to court. And let me just tell you, see this outing, this warring and fighting, the electors will still not determine who is going to lead the state. It's the court. At the end of the day, is that democracy? Because you have messed up the democratic process. So the democratic process is no longer able to deliver who will lead. But then the court will now be the harbinger of that. Okay, now, we are doing analysis. We're not talking about how the politicians are messing up the system and how they collude with the people to hash violence and all these irregularities. We should talk about it. We should lend our voice to it and say, no, this thing must not go this way. People are not talking much about this. But once the matter gets to court, they will now say, all eyes on the judiciary. And that can't be fair.
That cannot be fair.
It can't be fair because what will now happen is you are now looking at the end of the day, the blame now goes to the judiciary. That had it been the judiciary decide this way, That is the way people voted. Other people will say no. People voted this way. The judiciary cannot get it right. They can't. You know why? The political system that ought to produce the right candidate has been decapitated. So it does no longer fall in the breast of the judiciary to do justice when the process that produces candidate is not just. So even if, because what the judiciary will do is, they will just look at what is before them. They look at what is before them. And if what is before them is probable, whichever way it goes. And don't forget that the politicians will still walk their way through the judicial process at night, nicodemously. They will go and soil the system. Because the truth is that they have captured the electoral system. They have captured it. And they can walk it anyhow they like to go their way. Needless to say, they have also captured the judicial system. Largely so. So they push that again. Because the people were long captured a long time ago. The people are just a walkover.
So how can we dismantle? How can we possibly dismantle all of this?
What you see, the starting point is the people.
The people.
Yes.
The people who are hungry.
Yes, who are hungry. Yes. People should not sell their vote, even if they are hungry.
Really?
Yes.
It's pragmatic.
It's pragmatic. It's pragmatic. You may think it's impossible, but people should be contented with their poverty.
Really?
Depending on when things get better. Yes. That is the only way to, if you don't sacrifice, you cannot change the system. You can't change the system. This may not, Nigerians don't like this thing I'm saying because it's not popular. But it's still the way out. Because you see, you notice that the politicians are not even talking about the people.
Sure.
How many times do you hear them talk about the people? They know that the people have been taken care of already. What they need to contend with is the adverse political party, INEC, and the court. That is where they take their resources to. As for the people, they've been captured since a long time ago.
All right.
Okay.
Yes, Babayemi, you are an election observer. I think it's very important that we get some facts from you. And I know we're all very prone to recency bias, where we forget about the past and concentrate in the present. But let's take a classical case of Abia State. The reason why Oti, was allowed to govern Abia State was because we had an INEC chairwoman who really stood her ground against all odds. Now, do you think it's very possible we would have such in Edo State after 21st of September?
I would say anything is possible. I mean, before Alex Oti, everybody always felt like INEC is the same officials will do the same thing all around, right? But then we're coming to see that indeed there are different people and with different ideologies and with different ways of carrying out their activities. And like my colleague said, it's a people problem, right? The Nigerian problem is not a leadership problem; it's a people problem. Because it's the same people that eventually become the leaders. The leaders are not brought from Cameroon or Ghana to come and govern us in Nigeria. The leaders are brought from Nigerians to govern Nigerians. And it's very simple. The average Nigerian on the streets, right, is ready to milk you dry if you are pressed for a particular thing. So it's an individual. What I'm trying to say is an individual moral system, right? So the question is, we have to look at who is now the rec for Edo State, right? Look at his pedigree. Look at what he has done before now, right? And then we'll see what happens when collation starts. But ultimately, again, we're still going to come back to the courts. And then it's now the court. And I have a problem with that. And I must state that we're having a system where it is not the people that determine the elected officials. We have a system where it is the courts that determine the elected officials. And that is a serious problem.
Okay, thank you. Now, Barrister Evans, let's wrap up with this question. You've said that the people are the problem. But looking at the violence that is playing out in Edo State already, where do the people now go to at this point? Because one of the party persons said they can't trust the security operatives, they can't trust INEC. And my colleague here raised up a question based on what happened in Abia State last year. Now, where we don't have such people, is it the people that will be held at this point? Is it the citizens that vote that will be held at this point? Because yes, they can vote right. Now, it is meant for those who are in the hem of affairs to declare the final result to not do the right thing.
Yes, the people can. That's why I say it revolves around people. Everything is about people. You see, in the Abia State, they were so fortunate. The lady was a university professor.
Yes, university professor.
She stood her ground and made, that was not even INEC per se. Okay? The people also mounted pressure on the system. A lot of people were backing her. You understand? A lot of people also backed her. Her courage was unsurmountable. But so many persons also backed her. Because remember that Abia State have been, badly governed for over 18 years. Badly governed. Okay? So it got to a point where the people felt, no, this can't continue. Okay. But this woman stood her ground. Now, how many of her type do we have? She said they offered her money. And she narrated the story of what happened. Okay. How do we duplicate her across the country or in Edo State? That is the question we ask ourselves. And people like her, you don't get to hear more about her again.
Definitely.
That's the disadvantage of being upright in a society like this. In some other places, they should have given her higher responsibilities. They want to deal with so many issues. There are just a few of them in the country who are like that. You understand? But that is our hope. That is our hope. Now, it's not left for the rest to be patriotic enough, because I think that's patriotism at the highest level. To be patriotic enough because the people, when they vote, we ask them to stay back to monitor this whole thing. But see, you can only stay back at your polling unit.
Yeah, very true.
From your polling unit, there's a collation center, state collation center, right? From the state collation center, there is that. If we're talking about election at the center, right? You understand? There is, the INEC, this is national. You understand? So, an average voter in the country needs to be much more responsible. Need to follow through the system. Possibly follow the ballot box.
Yeah, very true. We have tried that in Kogi State. It didn't work because we all know what played out in Kogi State. So it's more of the INEC issue.
See, you see the biggest, when we talk about human capital in Nigeria, we allow the politicians to erode the values of this country. There is nothing a politician will not do during election to ensure that gets power at all costs. At all costs. So, what should those who are patriotic, what should they do is to ensure that these persons do not lead us. Because if you look at all those who become politicians and who are now leading us, they are the people that when we're in school, secondary school, they are the ones that come to school by 12 noon. They are the ones that don't take. How many of them have results? Many of them have no results. Many of them are unschooled at all. They just, look for a way to become PDP secretary at the state, PDP secretary at local government, PDP, and from there, APC, this, APC, that before you know it, they are local government chairman. Before you know it, they are your rep. These are the kind of people that lead us in this society. Those who are really schooled will tell you that politics is dirty. Politics is not what they should do at their level, at their caliber, and all that. Now, the bigger problem is even those who are schooled also indulge in this evil practice of making sure that they get power at all costs. So that is what is driving the process to the negative wrong way. That every time it's about grabbing power and, making sure that no other person succeeds except you. And when they begin to govern, you will see the trait of that in governance. You will start to see the way the malfeasance, how they distribute these malfeasance across board. They take that, soil the court, they take that, soil the people, soil everybody, drag everybody into that negative net. And at the end of the day, they now sit and oversee our Commonwealth. So how are we going to succeed?
All right.
They are not going to use the funds to benefit the society. They are going to divert it. That's the truth.
All right. Just before we drop our anchor, a last question, Baba Emi. As an election observer, I know you'll be. Don't know if you will be present, but I just want to ask a general question. What do we expect from election observers that will be staged, monitoring what will be going on in Edo State? What do we expect from them, and how much do you think it's possible to have their voices heard?
We've had several election observers, severally, and they give reports. At the end of the day, looking at the past election cycles, most times those reports are just reports. They play nothing, or they play little or nothing in the overall determination of how the elections are viewed. Because I remember, especially the 2023 elections, there were instances where election observers gave reports of certain situations that occurred where they observed. And at the end of the day, it has been swept under the carpet, and then everybody has moved on moved on. So we need to have a proper system, right? And I say this with all sense of responsibility. For Nigerians, if we don't have sanctions, serious sanctions, or serious laws backing anything we're doing, then we're wasting our time, right? Having election observers to observe election and give reports is one thing. How are those reports used, right, in arriving at a concrete solution, or arriving at a concrete position as regarding the minds of the people? Number two, how independent are these election observers, right? Yes, most of them say they are independent, they are impartial, they also observe the elections. But indeed, how independent can we really say their reports are, right? What is their track record? Is it just to be called an election observer that it is, right? So I also remember last year where we went to observe elections, and we submitted our reports, right? And at the end of the day, the reports were not acted upon or used by INEC at all. So it begs the question that, are we just having different layers of policies? We have election observer, we have accord, we have a peace accord, we have different nomenclatures. No, Nigeria, we're good in naming different things, giving names to different things, and at the end of the day, right, we still come back with the same result, because we are still, if you check all the election cycles, we are still having the same issues: insecurity, voter apathy, votes not counting, politicians and violent, politicians not signing peace accord, politicians going against peace accord, INEC not giving the accurate figures, the court not reflecting the wishes of the people. Then why are we still doing the same thing? If we keep doing the same thing year in, year out, election cycle in, election cycle out, we will keep having the same results. So we need to create a proper structure that has sanctions and that has repercussions. If not, we're going to come back here again on Enterprise TV, having the same discussions if we do not put serious checks and balances to our election system.
Very true. Thank you so very much. Unfortunately, this was how the nation of Haiti, actually, not respecting the rule of law, disobeying lots of things, politicians doing whatever it is they feel like doing. And today, unfortunately, we have an African nation going to ensure their security in a country, a very wonderful country like Haiti. That's so very unfortunate. Of course, we don't wish that for our country, Nigeria. Thank you so very much, Baba Yemi Olani, for being part of our show today. We truly do appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Barrister Van Sofeli. Thank you as always for being here. Choma.
Thank you, Henry.
All right, so this is just about the time we have for our program today. We'd love to say thank you to you, wherever it is you have streamed from and equally watched from. We'd love to say thank you to you. But please do well to visit us at enterprisetvnews.com and also like, comment respectfully, and follow us on all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV7. I am Henry.
I'm Choma Okoya.
On behalf of the entire team, thank you for watching, and we'll see you. Bye-bye.